Wakanda is a kingdom of many secrets.
Eyes of Wakanda arrived like a bright, strange burst in the Marvel lineup. It was different from anything we'd seen from Marvel on Disney Plus. The art looked painted by hand. The stories moved through time. It felt like a piece of Wakanda history, told in 4 self-contained episodes that also stitched together into something larger. People loved the visuals and the voice cast, and the show even hit the top of Disney Plus for a while. That initial success is important because it's what makes the next part so surprising. But despite praise and streaming numbers, the reality of making a second season is more complicated than fans expect. There are at least 3 big reasons why a season 2 looks unlikely right now. The collapse of a key animation studio, Marvel's changing release strategy and budget priorities, and the logistics of the show's creative team and scope. I'll walk through each one so you understand what's happening without any fan speculation dressed up as fact. Start with the animation studio. The studio that produced much of Eyes of Wakanda, Scotland-based Axis Studios, recently shut its door and filed for bankruptcy. That's not a small hiccup. Animation houses aren't plug-and-play. When a show is made in a specific style by a particular team, the knowledge of how they worked, the workflows, the art direction, the shading, and the very recipes that made the show look like it did, lives inside that company. Losing that team means, at minimum, a long and costly search for a replacement that can preserve the show's look and tone. Even if another studio can do the job, contracts must be renegotiated, artists rehired or brought up to speed, and deadlines extended. All of that raises the bill and delays the project. The bankruptcy news makes Season 2 a much heavier lift than it already was. A recent report from Forbes explored the lead-up to Axis's final collapse, noting that the studio struggled with the 1-2 punch of the pandemic, followed by the Hollywood strikes, along with the impact of inflation on its profits. That's not to say there weren't other struggles inside Axis, such as its workflow of only developing a small number of projects at once, which often created cash flow pressures as they awaited large completion payments, as they also sometimes saw significant gaps arise between commissions. BBC News reported in July 2024 that the Emmy-winning Axis had collapsed due to severe cash flow problems, leading to 162 immediate layoffs. The studio had presumably completed work on Eyes of Wakanda long before then, allowing the series' release in August 2025 to go ahead as planned. Ultimately, Eyes of Wakanda became one of Axis's final projects, taking the studio's talents to the massive MCU audience this year. Second, Marvel and Disney's strategy for releases has tightened. The company is being selective about what it spends on and how many projects it launches each year. Big tentpole movies and priority Disney Plus series now get most of the attention and budget. That means smaller experimental projects, even well-reviewed ones, may struggle to find room in the pipeline. Marvel has trimmed or reshuffled several projects recently in order to focus on fewer, bigger efforts. And that shifting calendar squeezes the breathing room a spin-off series needs to return. Bottom line, even if the animation studio were fine, Marvel might still decide the resources are better spent elsewhere. Notably, Eyes of Wakanda came about as part of a 5-year exclusive deal for Black Panther director Ryan Coogler and his production company, Proximity Media, to create series for Disney Plus. That deal was signed in February 2021 and will thus lapse next year, leaving it unclear whether he will renew for more projects. Coogler is sticking around at Marvel Studios as he has already begun work on Black Panther 3 for a 2028 release after releasing Sinners, but there are no signs of any more Wakandan projects being in the works for Disney Plus at this time. Third, Eyes of Wakanda was built as an anthology-adjacent miniseries. Its structure and the creative intent behind it made a single-season run feel natural. The show explored Wakanda's hidden agents across eras and used animation to travel to places a live-action budget would never stretch to. That creative choice is brilliant, but it also makes a straight Season 2 tricky. To keep the same narrative heartbeat, the next run would likely need the original showrunner, the same core creative producers, and a continued commitment to that unique visual language. All of those elements are expensive and hard to reassemble quickly. The showrunner and producers have talked enthusiastically about future ideas, but talk is not a production greenlight, and possible is different from planned. There's also a time and money reality that hits series like this harder than you might think. Hand-painted animation, global art direction, and historically textured episodes don't compress into low budgets. The first season used a lot of resources to create a single, carefully crafted 4-episode arc. Another season that matched or exceeded that quality would likely cost as much, if not more. When a studio is already prioritizing a reduced release schedule and tighter budgets, asking for more of the same becomes an uphill battle. If Disney and Marvel believe the long-term payoff isn't guaranteed a large, sustained audience, merchandise, crossovers that feed box office returns they are less likely to commit, now let's talk about where fans' hopes usually come from, and why those hopes can be misleading. Creators openly saying they have ideas for more stories is not the same as a renewal. Showrunners often keep ideas in their back pockets and tease possibilities to keep momentum and interest alive. That's useful for public conversation, but it doesn't change the business side. You still need a studio to greenlight, money to allocate, and a stable team to execute. In this case, there were public interviews where the creative team expressed excitement about continuing, but the combination of studio bankruptcy and corporate reshuffling means those ideas are currently just ideas. Let's be direct about what could change the picture. A couple of things could flip the script. If a new animation partner stepped in quickly and committed to preserving the look and storytelling approach, that would solve the production gap. If Marvel adjusted its calendar and decided it wanted to invest in smaller prestige animation as part of its streaming strategy, that would solve the budget problem. And if the creative team decided to scale back the visual ambitions in a way that kept the heart of the show but lowered costs, that might keep the story alive. Any one of those shifts could resurrect Season 2. But as of now, none of those pieces have fallen into place. Now, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Eyes of Wakanda deserves a Season 2, or should it stay as a one-season masterpiece? Drop your answer in the comments and tell me what story or time period you'd love to see if it ever returns. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow and lets me know you want more deep dives into Wakanda and the Marvel Universe. Subscribe if you haven't already, because here we don't just watch the stories, we uncover the secrets behind them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.